hopefully we'll be able to do this whole thing. It shouldn't take more than an hour and 15 minutes, and we should be done here. So it says, congratulations, you've launched your efforts. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Well, again, we're really premature in doing this. About when we have 6 congregations is when we normally say, let's start running it in parallel, and you'll still get the money well in advance of when you really need it. Melissa was telling me about the God thing that happened about the matching money, and then all of a sudden, there was a whole lot of matching money and stuff, and so now we have...
I was telling him about, I said, Kevin, I've never been at a meeting where that happened like that.
What's that?
Your $450 challenge, and then boom, it's there.
And so we've got the money to do the 501, and that, you'll see, once we get that, how that'll really help propel what we're doing here and make this easier in moving the whole thing forward, too. And that's a great thing. But like I said, we always try and get that early anyhow, but we don't try and really put a focus onto the raising of the funds until we get to that 6 number, 7 number, because we want everybody to focus on getting that good base of congregations, that 6 base of congregations, rather than start to pull people in the other direction. So if you'll keep your efforts to that, we're doing this. We don't want to obviously bypass an opportunity to get money, but we don't want to really go out and put efforts into raising money right now. That's my personal opinion. National might tell you something different. I just think from a business perspective, you need to really concentrate your efforts right now.
Don't put the cart before the horse?
Yeah, or just fitting yourself so far.
You are here to just overview it, though, right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we can get to be thinking about it.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to give you a lot of the, well, I've given you a lot of the tools already right there in the CD, and that's all we're really interested in doing at this point. That's why I said, again, because of the timing and where I was, that's why I'm sitting here today.
That's the blessing.
You know what would be amazing?
Yeah. Well,
just if we had the day center eventually pretty soon, then, and Phillips has the day of caring, there might be some way to, that they could come and help and work in it, and then we would get that's both volunteerism, awareness about the program, but then they do employee grants.
Oh, for working, volunteer hours and so forth?
And that'll be September, October, so.
Nice.
What is it?
Nice.
The day of caring.
Has anybody signed to those 2 teams, the transportation and day center? Okay. All right, so there are...
Well, Daryl was the only one that signed up for transportation.
And that's okay. You don't need a lot of people for that.
We need to follow up with Daryl, though, because he said that if his elders say it's a go, he can stay involved, but if they say no, he has to back away. And he thinks he might have some...
Why does his elders have anything to do with this? I'm participating as an individual. I'm not committing my congregation to this program. I'm participating as me, Tom Cioffi.
In the community.
Right.
Sounds like a misunderstanding of the program.
I think, again, we need to make sure...
Maybe we need to talk to him and say, hey, we just want you too. You don't have to have a church.
That is a misconception or a misunderstanding that happens a lot. When you go to a meeting in Roane County thing up in Tennessee was the same thing. They wanted to have another meeting before they committed to doing this, and I said, why? Because our churches still need to talk. I said, your churches have nothing to do with this right now. I don't even want your churches. I said, it's us. It's us as people wanting to come together and make this program work. So you might want to go back and talk to him about that, because people think that just because they're doing it, they're committing their congregation to be a part of this.
He did say after the second core meeting that he was at, that he came up to me afterwards and said that they may have a couple of vans.
Yeah.
Older vans.
Now that's okay. I don't have I don't have any problem with that. But those are the cool things. And for example, we got our second van for our second rotation. We had it almost a year before we were ready to open up the program. So it's okay to take it if it's free, but if you have to buy it and so forth, I wouldn't go into that level. Okay, so let's talk about this first. Did I share this with you guys? developing network?
No.
Well, you gave it's on the PowerPoint you gave us.
Okay. And it's about making sure of when we organize what makes us successful, and it's these three things. It's a milking stool, right? Okay? And so what makes a Family Promise network successful is three things: congregations, leadership, and funding. Okay? And the reason I use the analogy of a milking stool is if you take one of those components out of there, you can't use that stool. It will not work. Okay? Likewise, if any one of those three legs is a little bit shorter than the other leg, guess what? You can use it, but then it's going to start to get a little rocky and it could collapse too. So the importance of this analogy is that all three of these components have to be in place to be successful. Those are the components of the program that really are what we're talking about, of congregations, 13 host congregations, a good leadership, 12 to 15 with a good director, and then the funding in place, at least 40% in the budget to start. But once you're up and running, if you can keep 6 months of operating money in your account, you're doing a really good job. Okay, once you're running and you have your budgets and everything, as long as you can keep 6 months of operating money in there, you're okay. You'll be in good shape. All right, so those are those pieces. Now, we go back to those words that I used before that make all this work, or what Family Promise works, which is flexibility, communication, and expectation. So remember those words I told you about? Flexibility, because Family Promise isn't this rigid program. It's, do you have an 18-year-old girl that needs help? Well, can we do that? Yes, you can if you choose to do that. But again, that's important. Communication. Making sure this guy understands that his church is not committed to this program. Making sure that we're getting the message of the need and this program out into the community. And then the expectation of what we expect from when we talked about the host recruiting team, what we expected out of them, the development team, volunteers, the families. What do we expect out of them? When people know their expectations, okay, and have a framework to work from, they can make a very knowledgeable or informed decision to say, hey, I can do that or I can't do that. And when you have all this detail in place, or this information out there, it tends to make it better. It goes back to the pie. Remember the pie I told you about? If you have the 4 of you guys and you cut the pie into 4 pieces, it's a lot of pie to eat. But when you cut the pie into 16 or 32 pieces, everybody eats a little bit less or a whole lot less, but we still eat the same pie. And that's what we're talking about. So we have to get beyond you guys that are already involved in everything else. I don't want that to happen, because, yeah, you'll get this thing open, and it may be different here in Bartlesville as a Gwinnett County or out in Hawaii or wherever else we have some of these networks. But typically, when it's a few people trying to get this, it is a long time. I'm going to Skagit Valley, Washington from here, which is Burlington. And they started July of last year. That's when they had their first core meeting. They have not incorporated the organization yet.
When was this?
July of last year. They haven't incorporated.
Well, it's only 9 months, though.
Yeah, but you would have incorporated right
Oh,
away.
incorporated, okay.
I mean, we're already incorporated.
Up until last week, they didn't have an EIN number.
Yeah, see, we've already done all that.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes. I sent them the whole thing on a disc, every page. I went on the EIN, I filled it out, I copied it down, I sent it to them, and I said, follow this. And in 5 minutes, they had an EIN number. It's again about moving this thing forward. And they've only got 8 people doing everything, trying to do everything. And so so I'm going out there and trying to work with them when I leave here. But the bottom line is we gotta get more involvement. And so we break these tools down, like this fund development team. And we're gonna do the same thing with this as we try to do with the host recruiting and everything else. Don't make it overbearing to any one person. The purpose of a fund development team is not to go out and do the event, it's to plan the event, okay? It's to get all the materials in place. We just did our bed race 4 weeks ago, okay? We were blessed, we raised $36,000.
Oh my gosh, that's
okay?
awesome.
Five of us planned the event, but there were 65 volunteers.
Awesome.
Okay? What we did is we took each volunteer position and wrote it out and detailed it and said, we need you from 10 to 12. This is what you're going to do. You know what? People volunteer when they see the start and the finish and all that stuff. Again, it goes back to getting sucked in and never getting out. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like a black hole kind of thing. And that happens a lot. And people are very skeptical and get a lot of anxiety about that. But we want to give them that start and finish position. But the team itself are the ones that are going to come up with all these ideas here, and then we're going to find the people to execute the ideas. And that's why it's always tough to get volunteers. Who wants to go raise money? Raise your hand. Mm-hmm. There aren't many people that are out there that wants to go do this. This is one of the tougher teams to put together. But again, they have to understand what we're trying to do. Communication. Communicating that you're not the ones that we want to go out. Yeah, we want you to be a supportive effort into the program. If you can donate, absolutely. But your job is not to go out and be the asker or be the doer. That's important to understand as we're going through this whole thing. Okay? So, in saying all that, fundraising is about connections, communications, and commitment. And the most important word in those three is communication. We don't communicate, again, the need, what we're expecting of people, and going forward. It's in the very first thing there. So you're going to make a plan based on productive avenues of funding work and connections that follow through and things of that nature. And we're going to talk about all the different ways that we as an organization are able to raise money. And it's easy. It really is easy to do. Okay?
You're the first person I've ever heard that has said that. And you said that from the beginning, and it's just really, can't wait to hear more.
What, it's easy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Going back to, again, this is the communication aspect of it. Going back to what the program is based around, what Family Promise is based around, is through this volunteer effort. And that one of the things that we're going to have to do, we're meaning the leadership team, the fund development team, is we're going to have to make sure that people understand what this in-kind is. You know, this in-kind service, in-kind value. And I've shared it with you one time, but I want to, again, in-kind is a value of a volunteer effort or something that counts as money, but really is not money. Okay? I'm a volunteer and I'm going to go, you're here today. This is in-kind. This has a dollar value that's attached to it. Because if I didn't have you as volunteers here sitting at this meeting, we'd have paid employees trying to do it. So it has a dollar value. In-kind with meals. Okay? When someone brings a meal to the family at the congregation, if they didn't bring that meal, we would have to buy that meal for the family. That space, that bed, that's in-kind. It has a dollar value attached to it. Okay? The important thing to understand is before this network it opens up, you're going to put in place these 13 congregations with all the volunteers. That's $350,000. That is in-kind effort, which is money that you do not have to raise. You're going to have a budget of around $100,000 to $110,000, $15,000. Okay? So for every dollar you actually spend, you have $3 that's given to you in volunteer service, effort, a car, bedding, whatever it may be. It's 3-to-1 ratio.
Right. That's just good business model. Yeah.
That's a big number. So we're really efficient in what we do in terms of being good with the money, good stewards of money when we operate.
So you said $3. For every dollar, you get $3.
We get 3. So it's of $4, one of them is real actual money that we spend. Okay? I actually did ours, and we're $350,000 of, $392,000 is what ours is.
In kind.
In kind, yeah. But last year, last year was $700,000 we actually got, and this year we're projecting $850,000 of in
Well,
kind.
so just for example, to figure the worth of what, do we look at, do you divide up what we make? I mean, or what the average
No.
is for that? How do you do that?
What you typically do, there's actually a website that tells you in-kind values for state by state, okay? I tell you don't go by that because it's not realistic. Like in Georgia, they say in-kind value. In other words, my volunteer service hours, I think it says $18 or $22. You know what? That's not realistic. We use $10. $10 an hour is a realistic number to use, okay? For meals, we use $17 a day. That's
Per person?
Per person. $3 for breakfast, $5 for lunch, $9 for dinner.
Okay, but
And
17, is that what you said?
$17 a day. And that's realistic, okay? For bed nights, we use $35 per person. And that's
That's
realistic,
realistic, yeah.
okay?
How much?
35.
It's
That-
about a little what the budgeting would cost us if we
Right.
did that.
An extended stay kind of place or something of that nature is $35 a night. So those are the numbers that we use.
That's
Because
helpful.
we don't ever want to get challenged saying from someone when we're trying to do grants and so forth, to say, well, you're not using real numbers. We'd rather be on the conservative side than being out there just throwing numbers out in the wind. It's easier to defend yourself when you're doing something like that. And so when people donate things, we've had cars donated to us. We've had, we get pillowcases and toiletries and all that stuff, and all of that has value. Just like you're sitting here right now, we meaning Bartlesville, needs to start capturing all of these numbers and dollar amounts right now, starting right now. Because when you go start applying for those grants, this is all going to be a benefit to you in doing the grant. Oh, please tell me I know it. I'm sure I didn't because I'm not that smart. Let me just look at something real quick. I have host recruiting.
I got that too.
I know you do, but I brought it just in case.
I even have presentation boards all made up.
You do have them?
Awesome.
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
You're a good man. Guess where
Well,
mine is? It's out in the car.
I figured you brought yours too.
You're
but
darn right I
My
did.
student put it together last night.
They look good.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I don't
So-
know. You
yeah.
tell me.
You
No,
don't
they'll
have to
be
be.
good.
They don't
They're-
have to be
Yeah, they'll be
professional.
good.
It's
You
better
see what
than
mine
what we
looks
have
like.
now, which is nothing.
Just putting the pictures on was like touched your heart.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
so you already did the pictures too?
They're
Yeah,
on the
he took-
presentation board, just
Oh,
like
yeah,
his.
present-
So
Just-
all
It's just a
those
newer
ones-
version of his. And I use different
still
pictures
do
for
it and give
different
them to
boards, so
people
we have
to
a
take.
Yeah.
They don't have a
variety.
board to use.
Not that
Yeah,
anybody would
okay.
know, but
But it's not like.
You're talking about
right now,
pictures that
we-
you guys have
No.
from your
Oh, no,
client?
we use
No.
yours.
Oh, okay.
We
No,
love your
that's fine.
pictures. We just do.
Well,
what
I went to Collin County and I looked at I walked in. There's a board. All my pictures. I just loved it.
your
2
pictures
years
have
later,
been
they're
well,
still
yeah.
using the pictures. So I
Well,
said,
they're great pictures.
yeah, oh, they're the best.
Yeah.
But it points when you guys open it, you just start snapping yours
Yeah.
and you
we
start
can
putting them
start
on top.
there.
Because now it has that relevance that you're here local and you're working from the local area. And these are our families. These are our people. I don't have it with me. I'll find it.
Okay, so $10 per hour per volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
17 per day per person for food, 35 per day per person per night,
Okay.
right?
Now, here's the piece that a lot of people don't understand, and this is important to get back to them. The time it took you to drive here and go at the meeting and then drive home,
right.
that's all part of it, okay? If there was any preparation for the meeting, that's in-kind value too, okay?
Gosh, we've
Yeah.
already got a lot we've all been doing.
Oh, absolutely.
We just,
Tons.
you could
Absolutely.
put that together.
When people are doing meals and such, people don't,
If you're
normally we are always underestimating there because all they do is when they come, they put down their hours that they came, served it, and went home. Anytime they went into the planning of the meal, anytime they went to the shopping for the items for the meal,
Oh, yeah.
preparation of the meal itself, bringing the meal, serving the meal, going back home and cleaning up, every bit of that becomes in-kind hour.
And then the food is just the $17, the food part.
That's
of it.
that's the part we figure, right? Yep.
Ah,
So we loot that $850,000 that we're budgeting. We know that's not going to be an accurate number because people don't give us, and we only write down I mean, when we put a number down, it's only the actual amount that we've been able to track. We don't say, well, they probably did this and we'll add that on. Because you're just a lot better off saying, here, we can document everything that we've done. It's all on paper. Just like, see this little right here? You just put your hours on it, and I can send you some sheets that have start times, finish times, and all that on it. Okay? And this way you'll have...
Like everything you've got makes it much easier for us.
Sure.
So where do you collate all that information? Do you do it at meetings?
They're national, we have one person that does it. We used to track it through Excels and stuff like that, but now National has this program called FP Force, which is...
Yeah, we saw
talked
that
about that,
at
didn't
the Lawrence thing.
That's right.
They had
we
it on
did.
at their board meeting and it was just all brand new. And
That's
they had the
right.
sheet with all the
And that's
pictures
right,
and
they
they printed out, and
said-
it was all awesome. It was so cool.
Remember, they go,
FP4's
we could recommend one thing to you. We recommend you start with this
Yes.
tracking stuff.
Salesforce.com is the one that developed it for Family Promise, and it's nothing more than a slicing and dicing thing. And what you do is you have a volunteer enter in all the hours and stuff. All your financial data is put in there. Who gave you the money, from which congregation they are they in a Sunday school class, and you can go in there and go beep, 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 beep. And there it is, all sitting right in front of you.
And at any time you can print off like a graph, colored graph,
Absolutely
and all
you can,
that.
yes.
It's awesome.
And
Like,
it's really
remember what they
cheap.
said about how we get it. If we go through National, it's cheaper, right?
It's really cheap.
How
You get
much is
11
it?
licenses for like $700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ought to put that in our budget to get now because we could start capturing all that, right?
You can use that to track your funding, your money, and your volunteer stuff right now. Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
So that's a big, and I can get to what I want to show you in just a second. And maybe I've already showed it to you. Did I show you our annual report where all the congregations are on one side and the achievements are on the other side, and then the
I
money
don't
was
think
on?
so.
Okay, let's just keep talking. Talk amongst yourself just for 1 second. I think I can get to it with my iPad.
I was thinking about, when you were saying that about all those details, I was in private practice and I was a lone person, the only person doing everything virtually, and all of that stuff counts big time. I mean, it just wears you out. I mean, because you don't figure, well, I'm getting $60 an hour to see somebody. That has nothing. That hour is the least of the work that you do. It's all the preparation,
Progress
all the
notes,
I mean, there's just
all that.
tons of stuff that preparation, just getting ready to see somebody. Just
God is good. Let me tell you that right now. I forgot I emailed it to myself, and it's right here.
you caught up with yourself.
I actually emailed it
Cool.
to myself.
Cool.
How funny is this? I love
Because
it.
they had like that at their meeting that they printed out, and so they could go over their
So,
funding at their
And
meetings.
I put it in
was
color so
cool.
you can
was
see
awesome.
it. Okay, let's see if we can expand this a little bit. All right, so over here, this is a one-page annual report from Family Promise Gwinnett County. So that when we do any granting and so forth, we're able to send this, and we don't have to do a lot of different page after page after page.
And don't they send that to their like main donors, like big donors?
Well,
once a year.
when we do this, we go out, and when we're ever appealing to businesses or something, they want to see something like this. Melissa, get back here.
She's got to get her addiction.
She's been sick this last week.
Oh.
Bad.
It's
So
just
she's
this
been working.
warm stuff helps my throat, and it doesn't hurt as bad.
Okay. So is that
Sorry.
bit of honey, I bet.
I guess I could try a bit of honey.
Put it in your tea.
Can't
You
beat
should
a
have
bit of honey.
hot tea with honey and lemon is the greatest thing
Okay.
for
That's
sore
something
throats.
for you.
The greatest thing.
Okay.
Okay, so let me share
Okay,
with you.
so what? Oh.
Share with you what this is. This is
Oh,
our
yeah, that
one-page
does look
annual
like
report.
that.
Okay, so here are all of our host congregations, support congregations, our board of trustees. I'll send this to you.
Yeah, please
Okay,
do.
here's all of our achievements for 2012. Here's our staff. But here's the important pieces right here in the middle. Okay, we break down, first off, we have all this detail. We break down all of our income by individuals, by congregations, by businesses, by grants, by fundraising event. The more detail that you can break down your...
And that's on there?
That's right
Broken
there.
down?
It's right there.
Oh, okay, I just went
Okay.
to
What's the
another-
yellow part?
In-kind service.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
awesome.
That is really
Okay.
smart.
Now look at it. Here's the money part. Here's in kind.
Yeah.
65% of everything we receive in Gwinnett County is given as a volunteer effort. So when you go to a business or somebody and you say, look, we do need money to
Can you
operate,
print that out?
but the bigger
Yeah,
portion
it
of
feels,
what we
if you,
are.
will you send that to me right
No.
now and I'll print it?
Yes, I will.
No.
Yes, I will. Okay.
Don't say that to me.
And you can
You hurt
email
my
it.
I'll
feelings.
email it and I'll print it right
Because that way
now.
we have it on color and I
I'll-
can
I
show
can
it in my
print in
class.
color, too.
Okay.
Oh, cool. So can I.
Now here's the other upside to this whole thing, is here's all this in kind, here's the money, right? When you translate all of this income down to the expense side, everything of in kind, when I volunteer at a church, or when I bring a meal, or when I spend a bed night, that's all program related. So every bit of what you do, volunteering and so forth, is all related directly to the program. So when you translate all of this plus the money, 90% of everything you do goes directly back to helping the family.
Direct service. Wow.
So 9 cents out of every 10 cents you get, whether it be in kind or dollars, goes directly to helping the families.
And that's
Ask
huge.
United Way if they can do that. Ask Cancer
Nobody,
Society if they can
yeah.
say that. This is one of the most efficient programs that you can ever put in place. This is just awesome right here. Right?
You know what would be cool that we could do, I think, fairly easily, is we could take that concept and total up the value of what we've done so far to show to the core team.
Absolutely.
And I think that would jazz them up,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, because look at
Well,
what
this
already.
is going to be applied to recruitment too.
Yeah,
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
absolutely.
and drive
Think about
time
that.
to the
I mean,
place
don't
and
just be able
back
to tell a church.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a volunteer. Here's what your time goes. 90% of your time is going directly to the
Yeah.
client.
Yeah.
90%
No,
of that
100
value.
No. Their
100%,
time
the
is
100%.
There's
100%.
Yeah.
What the other 10% is our director's salary
This
for
is
administrative.
unbelievable.
and-
This
and
is
some
the
things like
lowest
that.
administrative cost I've ever heard
Okay.
of.
All right, I
It's
don't want to
volunteer.
reply. I want to forward this. Don't I? I just sent it to myself.
And that churches should love
Ooh,
that.
new mail.
Forward. Oh, look, there's some
Well,
message
so
from Tom.
the business
I
world,
love me.
because they're all about that. That's really what matters to them.
What's the email address?
More than a human.
It's
It's
Donna.
D Jenkins,
D what?
JEN
Oh, Jenkins. Okay, I'm sorry.
at health
And what?
health
Oh, health.
.ok.gov. And I'll just go. I can go do that and print it out right now. For the team.
Listen. Didn't go yet. It's sending. I see it.
It's like you're just right
That's
there.
because of all that attachment.
Is it on a Wi-Fi or just a 3G thing?
It's on
I'll forward it to you
4G.
guys.
4G.
It's going to take a little bit because it's got that file to it.
Okay.
But it's going.
What
Okay.
is this thing called?
It's an iPad.
Oh, see, I'm out of touch.
Whoa.
So, I know, right?
Okay, can I ask
don't
you a
know.
question
Yes, ma'am.
then about
But surely you've heard about
Like-
iPads.
Yeah,
right?
I just
When-
never seen one.
when would we start counting
I don't do
from
well,
the time our first conversations
Sorry,
with
guys.
Elizabeth and Klaus? Do we count that in?
Sure, that's
She's-
that's
she's
part of the
technology
development.
challenged.
Absolutely.
So start from the beginning. And what do we count your time as well?
No.
Because you're from the affiliate, right? Okay.
But our time here does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I just think it'd be cool to
The
have that
time we
figured out.
used to make the boards
Absolutely.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
anything.
kids, your
The
kids
students.
doing all that work, that's all in kind. Because if you, again, just picture it, I mean, and this is important. It went. What's important is they need to understand that it has this value. And the value is when you're going out and looking for people to give you stuff or money and so forth, that you can support your effort by saying these things because you've got it tracked. Here it is on a piece of paper. You know, I don't pass this around for me. I pass it around for you to do those things. All right? Cool?
I want
Do you
my
want me to go do
volunteer
that right
effort
now?
on there.
I don't
Or
know.
do they- do y'all want that now, or
It
do you
went.
want
I don't know
me
if
to
it's
wait?
there
We
yet.
can wait.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't forget.
You
I'll
know.
do it before you leave, so you'll have it in your hand.
Okay.
Or you can
All
just
right, so-
email it to me.
I'll do
So
that
we
too.
have to make sure
Yeah.
that we can communicate what in kind is to everybody. everybody attending those meetings, that they need to be a part of it. Amy Trimble, when she's doing any of the deposits or any of that
Minutes
other stuff,
or-
that has,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
God, this is so
you'd be
helpful for other
surprised.
groups I work with.
I will send
Yeah,
you, what
that's
I
why I
will send
wanted to
you.
come.
That's what,
Just
oh
for
my
everything.
gosh.
So you guys can count all those hours to Conoco, huh, that you put in.
What, is a
Yeah.
matching grant?
That's
Yes.
for the volunteer grant, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Do you have a plain piece of
'Cause, man,
paper?
you already have,
Once we're,
you already have
once we
20
have the
hours.
right,
That
you know,
501c3.
501c3.
I'll do it this afternoon when I get back to the hotel. I'm gonna send you sign-in sheets,
This is so
Okay.
good.
and then what I did for our,
Just for my own general knowledge.
Regular sign-in sheets?
no,
Oh.
it has a start and a finish
gotcha.
to put times and
Okay, I
hours,
forgot. What did
okay?
you say?
What they
Make
did,
sure-
So we can make
You
a
know,
cop.
what it was
You
about.
can, like I'm doing when I'm
Um,
doing it, I can.
and then I'm gonna send
Yeah.
you what
Keep
I
it with us
did
all the
done
time.
for
Me
our
too.
board.
You know, a psychology
Which
test.
is, I've sent a sheet of paper to every person on the board, and it's just a blank sheet of paper, and it's basically a sign-in sheet for them to have, and then every time they come to the meeting, everybody brings it, and then whoever's doing pulling it together has all the sheets.
You know, it's interesting because what comes to my mind, we have a lot of the work that we do, and my work is community coalition work, and so we have to look at coalition inputs and coalition outputs, and effectiveness. I mean, this is what we really need to, and to get people to do it has been really hard. But if you, it sounds
Yeah,
like it.
because this can roll over into your other work.
Oh yeah, but I mean, just even with the anti-drug network, I'm like,
Look,
Yeah.
isn't
That
it
is
cute?
magic.
amazing.
You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller.
Technology.
Okay.
that's called an iPad.
She. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta get this.
Right, Melissa?
Okay, yeah.
Say that again.
I don't know what that's. I thought it was a Kindle.
My students
but
will enjoy
Well, the
that.
Kindles are like this, but no, this is an iPad.
That's pretty
my
awesome.
granddaughter
That's a bigger
has
than
one,
a
I
Kindle.
think.
It's a little more powerful than Kindle.
Yeah, this
It's,
is.
it's,
Kindle
it's a
just
real
read,
computer.
That is
right?
awesome.
It's like a computer.
It really is. I mean, I can type.
No, I'm really
I
bad.
just
You can
don't
do
have.
everything. I am too. We've got
Microsoft
one
on
at
here. I
home.
don't
My
have
wife,
any of
they gave her.
processing stuff,
I've
but I
not
can
used-
type
I don't use
No, I
documents
just
and
figured
stuff.
I'm doing
And send
Blackboard
long
now. Remember I
emails and
sent
stuff.
you
It
that?
has a keyboard
I
on it
learned
and
that
everything,
too.
so that's cool. Hey, let's as we.
But I had
Like
make
this.
sure, you said something, make sure, and it was really profound.
It's on tape. I'll post this on
What did you
Facebook. You can watch the whole thing again.
Make sure that everybody understands what in-kind is and the value of it.
Okay.
Okay, that's critical. It really is. And if you can get that across to people early on, it really works well. Going back to the FP Force thing for a second, it just came out. Well, the problem with FP Force is that you want to have all your data in there. Well, we had 7.5 years of history.
Oh my goodness.
We had to go back and input 7.5 years of
Oh
stuff
my goodness.
to catch up to make this thing work properly. So,
Brutal.
And we're starting at the beginning. Yippee.
okay. All right. On to the third thing. Identifying the skills of the members of the team or the committee and what we're all about. I shared this in the first part about wanting more folks on here, not you folks that are continually the same people volunteering for everything. We got to get others on here and make them, again, understand what we're trying to do. And it's funny because one of the notes that I put here is don't overcommit. Okay? We'll have organizers. That's the important thing. All right? So, everything behind here has to do with what's on the front side, and we'll talk about. So, a projected budget. Well, just flip over for a second because these are critical things. I attended a fund development seminar at one of the national conferences, and the first thing it says critical concept to the diversification of nonprofits funding base. And the very first one is so true. The biggest problem in fundraising isn't getting people to give, it's getting people to ask. We can't, it's hard. I mean, people don't want to go out and ask people for money. But I always try and tell people when we're doing this again, when you have something that you're really just psyched about, or something you found out about, a TV show, boy, you can't wait to tell someone about it. Hey, have you watched this, or have you seen this makeup, or this is a great product. That's what Family Promise should be to everybody. It's a great organization. You shouldn't be afraid to share it or be willing to ask for it. Okay? The second one is just as important. People give money to people. They don't give money to organizations. They'll give money to people. Yeah, there's stuff going on in Boston right now, and they're going to send money. People are going to send money but most people, like myself, are very skeptical about sending money. Is the money going to get to where it needs to be? And they're actually saying that on TV, as a matter of fact. That goes back to the concept of the pie again, of knowing that what we get in, we're going to be able to use. But it's easier for me to ask a friend for money sometimes than it is to go ask for a stranger. Not for me in particular, but people in general. Me, I don't care. You're going to tell me no. I've heard no all my life. I just keep going anyhow. So these are just some good things that I found. Number 5, people give to strength, not crisis.
Oh, gosh.
Okay? If you're
Sorry, I'm
always
just thinking about some of our organizations that were just barely on the brink of survival.
And you're always needing money. That's why we go back to that concept. If you've got that 6 months of operating in there, you're going to be in good shape. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about diversifying and developing a plan. This is a year-round, unfortunately, it's a year-round thing. Fundraising or keeping the budget going is year-round. We don't get pledges like congregations get a pledge, and we think that pledge is going to come through and it's going to make it. We have to go out and say, okay, this fundraising event's going to do this. How much is individuals going to give? How much are we going to get from businesses? And so on and so forth. So it's ongoing for what we do as opposed to others. 90% of money is given by 10% of donors. We are a little bit better at that than most. We're more of about individual donors probably give hopefully in the neighborhood of 30 to 35% of what our budgets are. Okay,